Hi everybody, this is David Lally at the Partnership for Research and Education in Plants, and today I'm going to talk to you about collecting data. And in order to do that, I need a plant. Yeah, I love that. So when you look at the plant now, you see it's a bunch of leaves, and we call that the rosette. And if we want to capture the plant during its vegetative or foliar or foliage state of development, then this is a great time by just measuring its size. And all you need to do that is either a ruler, or if you want to get fancy, you could use one of these calipers, these digital calipers. I'm going to show you how to measure it with just one plant in the pot, even though I know that most of you will have more like 6 plants in the pot. And I'll show you with the ruler first. And I just find the widest point in the rosette. You don't have to bend it down or change the shape of the plant. Just measure across the widest point. If you have one of these calipers, then that just makes it a little bit easier. You do the same thing. The second developmental phase in the plant that's important to look at is the reproductive phase. And in order to talk about that, I need another plant. Now, this is a little bit later in development, and as you can see, here we have the stem or the bolt, and it has some flowers on the top. Once you see that bolt emerge from the center of the rosette, you know that the plant has now shifted its priorities into reproduction. And that's why we're going to shift our priorities into capturing what's going on with that part of the plant. And we can do that by measuring the height of the bolt. Not only will that tell us something about the overall height of the bolt, but it will tell you how fast the plant is moving through reproduction. So let's do that. When you measure the height of the bolt, measure from the point where it meets the rosette up to the very top of the bolt. And with a ruler, I'm just going to very gently place that down there and measure its full height. If you do have the caliper, then you can do the same thing. So those are 2 data points that you can collect on your plants that you can take one after another. You don't have to collect that data at the same time. Once you start collecting the bolt height data, you can stop collecting the rosette diameter data. But the important thing is to be making those observations of the mutant and wild type side by side and seeing if you see any difference between them. If you are collecting that data and you think you see a difference and your data doesn't reflect that difference, then think about other ways that you can collect data. And let me show you some of those right now. If you looked at my previous video on making pairwise comparisons between the mutant and the wild type plants, then you might remember that the most important thing is that we've genetically altered the mutant plants. And now we want to see what are the consequences of those changes that we made. So sometimes it's hard to capture them with quantitative data. You look at them side by side and they just look different to you somehow. I don't know if the camera will capture this, but the mutant in this hand is a little bit lighter in color than in this hand with the wild type. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you how I take a picture. I take the 2 plants that I'm comparing and I put them side by side so that I have a uniform background. I want to see the labels on the plants. My image, my photo, will have a digital signature which tells me the date. And if I have the date on the front of my pots, I know how many days old the plants are when I took that picture. I want to be able to take a picture that best exemplifies the difference that I see in them. So I line them up and I take the picture. So some of the things you might see that are more qualitative in nature are the color of the plants, the texture of the leaves. You might see some curling of the leaves. You might see a difference in the leaf angle, up or down. Okay? Those are all things that can be captured when you take a picture and you put them side by side. We don't want to just take a picture of one because we're making a comparison. And we want to have active data collection. That means that we're trying to tell a story when we collect our data. We've seen something and we're looking at our data as a way to share it with others. always be thinking about how can I capture that difference between the mutant and the wild type? Because what we're trying to learn about is what are the consequences of the genetic alteration that we made when we created that mutant. So good luck.